thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.
What's up, people? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. We got a good one for you. How do I know? Because I said so. And it always is good because we have the best podcast, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, on and in the YouTube streets. We're going to be talking about, is it painful to be a spouse? And I got this particular conversation piece from TD Jakes that talked about how there are some sacrifices and some pains that being a husband or being a wife exhibit. And one of the things that he said at the end was, just because you had a baby doesn't make you a mother. Boy, way to end the segment. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more. And so we're going to bring some people to the stage. You know what I'm saying? The franchise player. We call him Prototype.
What's good?
What's going on? What's up? What you got on the? Oh, I forgot to ask the question, right? What do you wish more people understood about you?
That I mean well, and I don't be trolling y'all. I'm dead serious, but it's only to open up dialogue and conversation and get to a solution. It's never malice behind anything I say.
That's a bit. I understand that premise. I understand that for sure. Hey, we're gonna welcome to the stage. She can't see tonight, but hopefully, you know what I'm saying, it'll get better soon. Welcome to the stage, Miss Ash.
I see the shade. How about that?
Listen, hey, prototype saying the one that he don't throw shade. I didn't say that.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I see how the tree is tilting tonight. My bad. Okay. What I wish people understood more about me is everything I say is, don't take it to heart. It could be a joke. I guess it's the deliverance, but people take everything I say is just serious. Don't do that.
So you're gonna be mad. You're more of a playful person? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just, sometimes it don't come out like I'm playing. Like, you really gonna do that? Oh, okay.
Well, you don't never laugh when you say what you're saying, though, Ash. Just to be fair.
I said delivery. I said it could be the delivery. Here you go. I take a little.
I don't care. So, I don't care.
What you gonna do about it?
What you gonna do about it? All right. And welcome to the stage, the meek, the humble. You know what I'm saying? But always talkative, Miss Tamia. What's up?
Hello. I wish people understood that I'm not as cookie cutter as I appear to be. Yes, I get cookie cutter a lot, Prototype, where it's like everybody assumes that I'm just like porcelain doll kind of effect, or like a lot of people don't come to, well, a lot of people come to me, but when they come to me, they're coming to me because they think that I myself in my head have it all together, or I think I do. And that's not who I am at all. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, to me it's cookie cutter, like, oh, you're not going to go with us to the party, you're not going to go with us to the club. And I'm like,
oh, I see.
See, goody two shoes.
You're not the goody two shoes they think you are.
Okay, I am good. I am good.
Now she's changing it. I don't understand. Which one you want it to be? Hey, we'll get at you later.
Get at me later. Yeah.
And welcome to the stage. New to the channel, but hey, welcome to the channel, the stage, and the podcast. Miss Embrace, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for being here. You got the question?
Yep. And what I think more people would take the time to understand more about me, that I have goodwill intentions. They're not ill will. I do things for the betterment, not because I'm from New York or I have this tough exterior. It really is to uplift. But again, sometimes the delivery or the approach may not sound like it, but I really do have good intentions, and I just get misunderstood or underestimated.
I think everybody in New York say that.
What?
That
y'all misunderstood. Well. Like, y'all rude. Like this, you know what I'm saying?
We're not rude.
We're not rude. We just ain't got time for the shenanigans.
To me, it's the only person I've ever met that don't have that New York vibe
You know what I'm saying? For sure,
I
right?
wouldn't be a see.
Nothing
It's
wrong
the
with it.
cookie
You know what I'm
cutter
saying?
that
Nothing wrong
comes
with
off.
maybe it's me, my
Like
bias.
you really got to tell somebody you from New York. Like I would.
Yeah,
I can
Mia,
give me. It's
but
probably because I'm
embrace
in
you
this
can hear it.
setting.
But embrace
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
And
you
hear
can
I've
it.
been
hear
out
it.
of New York since '89, and you see, you can leave New York, but New York will never leave you, no matter
Yeah.
where you go on this planet.
Well, to me, I never got it.
No, I have
To
it.
me,
I have
to
it.
me, it does not sound New York at all.
I don't sound like it, but if I say water or coffee or any of those
The words you
things,
don't
Blah blah
use,
the words I
blah.
all the
say,
words you
but
don't
my
use.
attitude is
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
Flatbush. My attitude is definitely
Hey,
Flatbush.
This is funny. Okay, Tamia. I work with you. I ain't never seen the New York come out of you, but that's
That's
cool.
why, because we work together.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
That's what's up. I would say for me, I think that people that know me misunderstand where I am now as opposed to where I was before. You know, I still speak with the same energy. You know what I'm saying? I just come from a different position as far as like I actually care. Like before when I would talk to you, I didn't care about what I was saying. And now I do care. You know what I'm saying? In a sense. Like if I'm telling you that you're wrong about something, I know that it's wrong. Like I don't care how you take it. You know what I mean? Because I know that I'm prototype. Why you laughing, bro?
I'm right there with you.
Oh, okay.
we know that.
So that's probably why we get along. That's what
Yeah.
that's what
Tell
it
her how
is.
it is.
Tell it how it is. Hey, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I'm willing to listen. That's the thing that I think people don't know, that I actually do listen. I may not do it all the time well, but I do listen. It's just that I be thinking about what I want to say before you finish your thought, which is not an active listener. Right, to me, it's not an active listener. I think we talked about that. All right, so we're
Right.
gonna get it, huh?
I said right. Yes.
For sure. All right, so we're gonna get into this, man. I'm interested to see what y'all have to say. And we're gonna start off with this question: who is more ready to be married, men or women? Who is more ready to be married? And we're gonna start off with Ash.
That's cold blood. How you start with the unmarried person first? That's wrong.
Because any one of y'all can. Why not? It's an opinion.
Okay, I think women be more ready to marry than men. You know, because men, it takes some time to get there because you got to fill her out, make sure she ain't for the streets, make sure she ain't been around the homies too much and got in bed with the homies. I think women be there because, you know, as little girls, we're taught about the princess dream wedding. And, you know, some of us have, and I've seen this, a whole book playing with everything from the flowers to the bridesmaid dresses to the hairstyle, the vacation, the honeymoon, where they want to take after, because it's embedded in us. It's to get married, but we don't really be ready. We be ready for, like I always say, the party, the glitz, the glam, but we're not ready for the actual sacrifice to come with it. So I would say definitely women is ready to just say the I do, but not really do the I do.
Okay, who you got going next?
I'm going to do Embrace the Grace.
I'm gonna have to piggyback Ash because as little girls, we are given all these Disney fairy tales, happy ending stories. But I would have to say, with the generations today, I don't think none of the genders are ready to get married because they haven't really been shown an example of what marriage is. So how can you be ready for something that you've never really seen or been taught? So it's really hard. I mean, women are taught to be independent, do your own thing. You don't need a man, da 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 da. And then men are being warned about these women out here. So if I had to really pick a gender, I would say women. But nowadays, and the kids that are coming up, I don't think none of them are ready to be married. Everybody wants the big wedding. Everybody wants the title, but nobody wants to put the work in.
Okay, nobody want to put the work in. Who you got going next?
I got Prophet going.
Proto?
Did I get the name? Did I get the name right?
I think she
Prototype.
mean me, prototype.
Sorry,
No worries.
prototype.
No biggie. But no, I would say men are more ready to get married, especially in their 20s. The best time to catch a man is before he turns 30 and after he turns 45. So it'd be that awakening part that, going through all the struggles in our 20s, we'll hold off. We start getting a little bit of bread. You know what I'm saying? But you can catch a man that's on his purpose in his 20s. That's ready to settle down and get married and create that family and really do it right. It's, a lot of it don't happen. We get burned on the way. So it turns to 45. It goes to either before 30 or after 40. That's the best time to kind of get him, man.
I think you said that once before, but
Yeah.
It's on you, Tamia.
So I believe that women, we're brought up to just like marriage is in the plan. It's kind of painted for us. But if I'm speaking realistically, I do think that women are usually more ready to be married just because we're already thinking of it as we're getting older. It's kind of like a dream, and hopefully we have good examples, but essentially, like, even when we don't have good examples, we want to be married. Like, we want a husband. You'll always probably hear a woman say like, "Oh, I need a man," or "I need a husband," or "I need to get married to this person," even if they haven't turned the mirror on themselves. They're not really afraid of the concept of marriage. I guess because it has had that fairy tale kind of presentation since we were younger. But I will say, realistically speaking, once a man is ready to get married, I think that he's more prepared. Essentially, because when a man decides that I want to settle down with a woman, I feel like he's covered a lot of bases to make that decision to propose. So honestly, I feel like women are naturally ready because we feel like, hey, I'm supposed to be married. I'm supposed to be a wife. This is part of my role. This is part of my femininity. And we try to prepare, but I feel like men really think ahead and are kind of like, when they're ready to settle down, they're really putting thought into it. Can I provide? What is the family going to look like? What is our next 5 years going to look like? Hopefully, saying this is a, good man who's ready. So I would say men sit down and really think more deeper into the marriage. So I feel like they're a little bit more prepared when that moment comes. I think for women, it's kind of like after the altar where we're like, oh, wait, am I ready to be a wife? Unless counseling has taken place before. But I think for women, the real marriage and being ready for marriage, you start to see it after the altar. I feel like men think of it before the altar.
Interesting take.
Mm-hmm.
You say that men think about it before and women think about it after.
Yeah, so I think women are ready for like the excitement, like the idea of like, I'm going to be a wife, I'm going to be a mom, I'm going to have a family. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be the day that I've dreamed of. Like Embrace the Grace was saying, like, or even I've heard Ash say it, like ready for that big wedding day. Essentially, I'm not saying intentions are just that day. We hope that, the entire marriage will go that way. But in reality, even myself as a bride, I'm thinking of like your main excitement, just as a woman, your excitement is like the wedding, like getting married, the engagement party, the bridal shower, all of these, like all of the pretty things of it. And then, of course, you're praying and you're hoping that your marriage is sustained and that your husband will support you. But men are very logical. So I feel like men really sit there and say, I'm about to get married. Like, I'm about to get married. This is who my wife is. This is how I'm going to financially provide. And I think they look more at the undertones unless they're having those conversations with their wives. I think they're really more prepared for after the altar because that's what they think of, because they don't want to set themselves up.
That's
So
funny
they're
that
really,
you
yeah,
thought about us like that because we're not thinking none of that.
really.
Yeah, I don't think we're thinking about that.
Enlighten me.
I mean, men don't need money to get married.
Well, I'm not speaking of money. I just use it as an example, but like
Like,
ready. I
so
think you guys think
if
more
we're ready
thoroughly.
young, we're thinking about more of a partnership. That true love situation. We build each other thing. We not necessarily.
But
What
that's
holds
even
men
more
back is
thought.
once men get money, we kind of hold back. Like, oh, um, we got money now.
You're very particular, but
Now
I
we're
don't even.
we're calculated when we have money, and that's the wait. That's the pause between 30 and 45. It's a
I think
calculation.
that it's still calculated for when you guys are thinking of a partnership. I think that's still calculated. That decision in like choosing who's going to be your partner, not calculated in numbers or dollar signs, but calculated in who can I do life with. And in order to think of who you can do life with and who you can partner with, you're thinking beyond the altar.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, as
automatically,
far as everything,
yeah.
you're saying we got this lined out and this figured out. Nah,
No, I
no, we
mean,
don't.
my husband, we didn't know, like we were 20 and 21 and 22 years old, like nothing was lined out. But it was he definitely, I know he thought about it when he asked me, like I know that this wasn't just like him pulling out of nowhere, like, yeah, let's get married, especially just as a young Black couple who comes from family we don't have married parents. I know he thought ahead. I know that, I don't know, I feel like when a man gets on one knee and wants to marry you, he's showing that he trusts you. So I feel like that's definitely thinking beyond the big day. Like y'all are like, oh yeah, my wife's gonna plan that. I'm gonna show up, hope it's great. There are some things I want to contribute to, but y'all are more focused on like the bigger picture. Like, I just want to marry you. Women, we are mainly seeing, I'm engaged.
Y'all see the
That's
wedding day?
beautiful.
Yeah, y'all see
Yeah, we
engagement and
see
the
the
wedding
wedding.
day, the prettiness of it.
Mhm.
I would say right now, I think men are more likely to be ready to be married. It's just that there's not a lot to choose from,
Yeah.
because it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at the situation, I'm in education, and it may be just because there's a lot of Black women that are single, but most Black teachers, women teachers, are single. Like the majority of them, like even the ones that I'm at the campus that I'm on right now. I'm trying to think of one that is married that I'm aware of. You know what I'm saying? That's Black, right? Out of let's see, I'm on a staff of it's what 8 of us. I'm the only dude, and then the other ones are women, and all of them are single. Now, had he been married before? A couple of them, I'm sorry, one of them is married. I apologize. She's been married for like 30 some years. You know what I'm saying? And so we'll have these different conversations, and they always trying to blame the man, but it's like you're not a wife though. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that I think that there are men out there, more men that are ready to be married. You know what I'm saying? Than women, because like Prototype said, the dudes that are in their 20s, right? They have an idea of wanting to want to have something already, kind of getting ready to have a family. But once they get into the 30s, it's a wrap if they got money. And so then, but the interesting thing about it is that the 20-year-old women want the dude that got money. They don't want to build with nobody. So that's how I know that they're not ready. And then the older women, like when you get into your 50s, right? Now they still picky. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I'll see a lot of women in their 30s reach back and start plucking at dudes in their 20s because they went
Yep, I was just gonna
shit
say that.
and it didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So like women who got like baggage or in their 30s that have been through a couple relationships or a couple situations, they don't mind going back and grabbing a young dude with potential because now they can see it because the dudes before them had this certain something. So they caught on to it and they're like, oh, I see this in this young dude. I'll rock with him. But that's really robbing that young dude of his opportunities.
Yeah, I was going to say that next. I was definitely going to say that there are older women that are going for 20-year-olds or whichever, which is, so be it, like your preference. But I really just, when I see that, I'm like, how is this going to work?
Well, why
Good.
is the woman robbing and the man not? You got men that go back and get 20-year-olds too. You got Papa out here, because I know Papa on the
It's
other
not the
day.
same.
How's it not the same?
I think men, they groom at that stage. It's not robbing anything. I think that they are able to shape a woman into like grooming them into whatever they want to be, because women are more vulnerable. That's just my opinion. I don't think there's much to rob. I think men, when they go for younger women, they're going for the fact that she's hasn't seen a bunch of stuff. She hasn't experienced everything. So she's not
She's not exposed
yapping
or
at you.
considered
Yeah.
damaged goods, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like she's less likely to
It's a
have
little
kids,
selfish, but
less likely to have partners, less likely to have more experiences. Men want to be able to have the opportunity to lead a woman. You know what I'm saying? And so if you have done everything, it's kind of a challenge, right? For you to want somebody, because women want a dude that is able to do more than her. And if she's done a lot, then that means that the dude has to have done more than that or accomplishing more than her.
Okay,
And so
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, why can't an older woman get her little young tender, just like these men go get them
because
young?
the young man can't have a baby with her.
Or he could, but he's probably coming in as a stepdad or something. Like he's picking up baggage.
Yeah, but I'm saying he would want his own kid. That's what I'm saying. Like if we talking about young dude, like at 25 to 30, if that dude is with an older woman, he's just trying to smash.
Or he's really lost. He's looking for someone who can kind of coach him through or help him out. And that's what that older woman offers, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't understand that the burden is really going to be all on him when he's really ready. You know what I'm saying? So if he does hit into that groove of 35 and actually gets to it, then that relationship ain't going to last. Now, there's a lot of dudes that really don't really climb through or climb up, and they tend to stay in those, older women relationships because they don't really plan on doing much more than what's going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, I'm good with this warehouse worker. I got me an old lady, basically a roommate that's gonna split these bills for life with me. You know what I'm saying? And she don't know that I don't really plan on doing much more than what I'm doing now, but she gonna try to push me, and at least I'll be better than her counterparts, in a sense.
Okay, so you're saying comfort if a young dude stay.
Oh, for sure.
Say it again.
Comfort. I'm calling it comfort. That's what I'm just, you're not doing too much. You're just doing, I guess you could say, the bare minimum just to do what you want to do.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. What kind of older woman do for a younger man?
Maybe I don't know.
She can do a lot. I'm
talking about.
No, I'm just saying I don't know.
The guy is trying to build a family, right? And she's 50 plus, and he's 25.
Oh no, we ain't talking about that.
Yeah.
I say older women, I'm thinking 35. I ain't talking about 50.
I was thinking like
35. Okay, 35-year-old woman, 25-year-old dude.
Yeah, so
she probably gonna have 2 kids.
She definitely, but she's probably divorced or been in a lot of relationships, so she probably had a dude with something about him before, a decent dude before, so she knows what to do for him. So she be like, well, I'll just run the same thing I did with Johnny, even though he left me. I know how to treat this young dude because I know these young girls aren't treating young Johnny. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna treat him because I know how to treat big Johnny. You understand? So they could do a lot for a younger dude, but once that younger dude hit a stride, man, he's gonna want to start his own kind of situation.
This AI. I was gonna say that too. I think I'm on the same page as you, HD, because I'm thinking of it. Well, I was thinking of it even as far as to like a woman in her early 40s, like 40s. That even going in there, you see women dating men 28, 27, 25. That exists. I can give a scenario. Very well off, like in the Navy or a nurse or whatever the case may be, whatever her position may be. But then she has children already, like, is there that conversation of like, do you want kids? Because I feel like once women hit that late 30s, early 40s, naturally, you don't, some may, but it's like the percentage of women who want kids at that point, past 35, is very low. So even then, I see where Prototype is coming from, where when he gets to that certain point, and he's not young Johnny anymore, and he's like, I want my own child, he's gonna have to go back to around his age group, and it's just not gonna really cut it.
Let's bring Dwayne in here real quick. What you got, Dwayne? Who's more ready to be married, men or women?
Man, that's a departure, man. I came in.
You gotta choose.
Yeah, so as for who, man, it has to be the man. No matter how much the woman's ready to be married, if the man is not mature and ready, she's wasting her time. Because he gonna try and swing at every daggum pitch that comes his way, even if it's in the dirt. So he won't be faithful until he desires to be faithful. my 2 cents.
You
So
didn't answer the right question. Hold you in contempt. You didn't answer that question, bro.
No, he did. He did because it
No,
backed me up. It backed
nah,
me up.
he didn't answer the question.
no,
Who's ready to
please do tell prototype, do tell.
Who's ready to be married first, men or women? You're not in a relationship, just in general. Generally
It don't matter.
speaking.
It don't matter if the woman is first, like fresh out the gate. If the man is the one that proposes to the woman, so it don't matter if
We're not talking about a specific relationship. We're talking about general. Like if you take 20 men and 20 women, they don't know each other. 20 men and 20 women, who would be married? Who would want to be married first?
That's a great question, Prototype. Thank you. So if you take those same number of people that you just talked about, how many of the women is going to propose to the man?
4, maybe.
Okay. Well, it'll take a majority of those men to be ready. And it don't matter how many of those women are ready, even those 4, as ready as they may be, right? Ready enough to propose. It don't matter how ready they are. It's the man that proposes to the woman. Therefore, he has to be ready. So as for first, like first first to me would be irrelevant. It has to be the man. And once the man is ready, then he proposes. That's just my 2 cents.
What you got on the Embrace?
Okay, so I am the perfect example of the older woman that you guys were talking about. And there came a time where I had to stop dating the younger men because I realized I'm too old to mold. And if they don't have children, it's a waste of time because at the end of the day, they're going to want their own children. I only have one. He's 17. I'm done. And when me and my husband separated, I went and got clipped because I was not going to have any more. So it just was a waste of time. So now I find myself having to date older. So what I try to do is I go 10 years younger or 10 years older, and I'm stuck in a hard rock in the middle, so all you guys have a lot of good things to say, but I am definitely the perfect example. I'm 49. I don't look 49, but I'm not going to date somebody that looks like my granddaddy, but I also can't date somebody that is too young. I have to allow him to grow in his own. I'm not here to raise nobody. I raised one young man, well, 3 stepsons, but you see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, yes, the man controls marriage. But we as little girls, we fantasize about getting married, but that's just it. It's a fantasy. Like I was saying before, we want the dress, we want the wedding, but we're not taught to put the work in to be married. We're always telling the men how they should treat us, but we're not being taught how we should treat men, how to be wives. You have to be wife ready. You have to be already a wife material. He that findeth the wife findeth the good thing. So
y'all shaking your head and clapping. What's up with that, Ash?
I'm in agreement. I'm not in agreement with Prototype tonight. I am in agreement with Miss Embrace because she's absolutely correct. Like, just think about it. From my generation and just looking at what's coming after me. The girls are not being taught how to be a wife. They're taught how to be a boss. They're taught how to be, y'all know what I like to call them, little strippers. They taught how to be little hookers. They're not taught how to manage a household, how to be somebody's mom. They're not basically sex workers. That's all they trained to be. Because every time you look at a video or something, they talking about you sleep with this man, you get this money, and go on about your business. Okay, so what are you saying? You trying to tell my child she need to go bust her legs wide open just to have a house? No, baby, no. If you get you a husband that's on the same accord as you, you can actually get to that house fast. Because everybody's telling these young girls he need to have 100,000. Most men don't touch 100,000. Most men don't touch 50. So who are you talking to? Everybody is not a millionaire. So when these songs come on and I listen to some of this stupidity, I'm like, you're telling these young girls that these young boys over here that barely can read and barely can write their name is supposed to make 100,000, and you're supposed to be able to spend 30,000 of that actual money on a Birkin. Excuse me, baby, hold on, where you living? Because the cost of things has went up, and the stupidity has went up right along with it. However, you can't tell my child this kind of stupidity, because when you're raising your kids right to teach them how to take care of home, that means they're getting ready for a husband. See, we're not teaching our kids how to take care of a husband. We're teaching them how to be little workers, and then when you go home at night, you deal with whatever and however you feel, and that's how you deal with it. Which brings us to the brunch. Now that we're drinking at 10 and 11 o'clock in the day, trying to numb these feelings. If you really just look at it, everything is a numbing process. Because if you're drinking all night and you go back to brunch, you're not thinking about, oh, that bed is lonely, because you're back out with your friends. You get what I'm saying? You're not, and your friends is not talking about being married. Why? Because they got you. Just look at the amount of girls trips now. Women been clicking up going out of town. Nobody's really doing couples. You see a couple on a trip, that's like a fantasy, a magical unicorn. You don't see that. You don't see it. It's not talked about. It's talked about the woman being an individual, and then you're lonely and you're mad. Why? Because you don't have nobody to share. These kids that's what people don't understand. Them kids get older, they want their own life. They don't want to deal with us at a certain time. They don't even like looking at us. Okay? I know mine, I know they ready to leave, and I'm ready for them to leave too. However, we got a couple more years. But at the same time, I know I gotta have a life after them, and I'm ready for that. But at the same time, that's not what's being taught. What's being taught is this independence and loneliness, and you wonder why men are not looking at us. Well, I wouldn't look at us neither. Shit. What you looking at? Everybody look the same. Everybody look like a doggone Bratz doll. Y'all know when the Bratz doll first come out, the cute little bitty lips, the big old head with the long hair, small waist, big butt. That's what they all look like. So what you really got to choose from? Let's just be honest.
You are right in the pocket. Like the next question was, what is the challenge of finding a wife? Like that. That's what the next question was. And you was,
my bad. I went. Prototype can go.
Man, what's the challenge in finding a wife, man? There's so many. Because I mean, your mindset has to change in order to understand what you even need a wife for. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get a wife until you know what to do with her. And I kind of learned that, like, you know what I'm saying, from like women will tell you, like, what you gonna do with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have a plan for them. So don't get a wife until you even know what to do with a wife. I guess the challenge would be, I think men generally go for companionship, and that's why we generally want wives. For the most part, it's companionship, but women don't care about that, and we think that women function on the guy code, but they don't. You know, they have their own set of standards, and it's all about provisioning for them. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just misinterpret why to have a wife or why that person wants to be married to us anyway. You know what I'm saying? But it's not for the same reasons. Like we would genuinely like to have a wife for companionship, somebody to laugh with. You know what I'm saying? I think we're more of the Disney fairy tale than women. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're truly in it for love and the right reasons, essentially. You know, the majority of men, but women are in it for for to be taken care of, and they really look at having your kids as a sacrifice. And while you're over here saying like it's both our kids, she's like, no, this is your kids, sucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking care of them for you. I had them for you. I'm taking care of them for you. And I think we misinterpret that as, oh, this is both of us. And it's really not a partnership like we think.
That's what's up. Who you got going next on that?
I'll go with Dwayne.
Appreciate that. I say the challenge is after getting through all that fake stuff is finding out what's real underneath. I think you would think that would be easy because I would say most people are shallow nowadays. That's just my opinion from what I observed. As for with the whole social media culture, the whole TikTok culture and all that jazz. So for me, it's getting through all that fake stuff. And I guess that's the challenge, is finding somebody who it's not shallow. That would be the challenge.
Explain what you mean by shallow. Like what that look like.
Shallow is the opposite of, like the selfie generation. The selfie generation is all about, instead of taking a picture of other like the outside, they're all about the looking at inside, what they can get for themselves, not what they can do for others. So like in what y'all were talking about, as for Embrace, she was talking about as for how you can serve, they're looking how they can actually be served. So in that, it's like it's a very young mindset. It's who can fly me out, right? Who can fly me out? Who can do these things for me? And who can do this? And who could pay my rent? And who can do all these other things? It's like, no, that before getting that, it's like, if you are looking for somebody who can pay your rent, how are you looking to take care of that person? And I think that's the part that there's a disconnect, because it's only a one-way street in that regard. They're looking for people who are willing to take care of them, but they ain't willing to take care of the needs of the other person. So that's what I mean by the shallow. It's a selfish generation that I see is being developed. Is what can I get? How can I extract the most out of you without having to give anything? So for me, that's that. I can't. And like what Prototype was saying, that's for a companionship, as for a friend, a true friend. It's a two-way street, right? It's a reciprocating relationship. It's not just them extracting from you without no give. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Who you got going next?
Let's go with Ash.
Ash already went, bro. You don't remember the soliloquy that she gave?
Bad,
she
my
talked
bad,
for like
my
3-4
bad,
minutes.
Ash, you just be
I
you
saw
just be
it. I
cutting
saw
you be cutting them up. So I want you to cut up some more.
Oh, well,
My
I
bad.
mean, I could go now. I could go
Well,
again now. You know, I
there's
ain't got
blood
no
everywhere.
on this.
to me, let's go.
So, ooh, that stretch. So I feel like what makes it challenging is a lot of women these days, and this is my personal opinion, are lacking guidance from God. A lot of women are not reading their word. A lot of women have they don't have their roots planted anywhere. So they're easily influenced. They're easily pushed into the selfie phase, like thinking about themselves. They can go on TikTok and hear this influencer talk about how you're supposed to date and how you're supposed to look at a man and what you're supposed to expect and run with that leadership. But they don't have roots in, like, you can't even tell me what God thinks a woman should look like. Proverbs 31, so I feel like that's what makes it challenging. If a woman doesn't know her worth within herself and how God set her to be, then how can she be a wife? Like if you can't even like embody what you're sent here to do, and you don't have any roots planted, you're easily swayed. And a man is not he's looking for a companion. He's looking for somebody he can trust, somebody he can stand on, somebody that he can grow with. If your roots aren't planted, you're not growing, you're not going anywhere. You're just like easily uprooted. So I feel like that's where we find a lot of women, especially just in my generation, in my age group, that are just misled. I always mention that, like, these women are misled. It's sad, and it's so scrambled that it's very hard to get a majority of women these days back grounded. And I honestly only think it really happens when they get to know God, when they go find a good group or a good mentor, or whether it's on their YouTube screen and they start watching, sermons or listening to podcasts that are led by, Christian women, that they're then like, oh, I'm doing this wrong. Like I'm doing, something needs to change or something needs to shift, because it starts within. So I definitely just feel like it's a lack of discernment on who they're listening to. It's a lack of guidance, and then it's a lack of faith. So that's where I feel like it becomes challenging, because you can't be a wife and you don't know how to pray, you don't know how to uphold your house, you don't know what you're supposed to do. And the only place that really shows that in good context that you can follow with no doubt is in the Bible.
That's good. That's solid. Embrace, what you got?
One of the main challenges is that most women would rather be baby mamas versus wives. You know, how are you going to give the most ultimate precious thing to a man before you even get married? And two, everything is transactional, like Dwayne was saying. It's a transactional relationship. Marriage is about service and duty to each other. I mean, you say submit to a woman nowadays, it's like you cursing them out. It's a curse word. And again, and I got to piggyback on Tamia. It all comes from the word. Yes, I grew up in a two-parent household. I saw what it was to how husband and wife to interact. You know, the good times, the bad times, and the ugly times. You know, I had to serve my brother. That was me practicing as for when I had a husband. You know, and we're not being taught that. When we're not shaming the bad behavior enough. You know, we'll sit the single mother in the front pew of the church with 4 kids with 3 different baby daddies.
Did we lose him? Okay.
But then the couple in the back who's married is all the way in the back, and the pastor allows that. And I just feel that we're not doing enough mentorship. We're not, you know, it takes a village. Like, I coached basketball for 18 years, and I saw these young men and these young women in all age groups, and the things and the conversations that they would talk about. Not one time did I hear about family unit. Marriage is all about who they going, you know, the bodies they gonna catch, or this dude is gonna buy me this. It's really sad. We're lost in the sauce, and that's because we've taken God out of everything. You know, we've taken God out of school. We've taken God out of the church. You know, and then, I mean, I get called an old head. I get called old fashioned all the time, but the old fashioned ways was working. We were more united. We were more family oriented. Now we don't even sit down and have a meal. We have to have Thanksgiving to sit down and have a meal. And even then, some people are too busy watching football and doing other things or shopping for Black Friday and not really sitting. I mean, I had a meal with my family every night at 6:30 p.m. till I was 14 years old. That was a must. My dad would say, you better be home before the lights catch you home. You know, and we had to be seated at a table by 6:30. And once I turned 14, it was different. I was working sports. Things changed. We don't have that anymore. We don't have Sunday dinners anymore. It's hard, but we got to keep chipping it away. Content creators like us, people who want to make the change in the community. I mean, we can't save everybody, but we got to try. We got to try to save some, you know, at least for the sake of our grandchildren.
That's a fact. I agree with that. This is interesting. You know, I definitely kind of echo everybody sentiment. You know, I think that the challenge of finding a wife also is that not just necessarily on the woman, right? But men in this particular regard don't understand what it is to be a husband. You know, even though they are the most ready. You know, as far as like there may be a part of like their finances, they may have you know, want to have a family, right? They because most men want to be married before they have kids. You know what I'm saying? Women, I can't. They say that's the truth, but they actually are having the babies. You know what I'm saying? Before they get married. So, but I would say that the challenge in finding a wife is like the man has to know what that looks like. He got to know that he has to have dig discipline, first of all. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go shoot up everybody that you see and be like, you know what, I think I'm gonna make one of these my wife. You know, he has to be goal oriented, and as Prototype said, he got to know what to do. What is she gonna do in his program? Right. And so there are a lot of women that is it a lot? I mean, I would say like the ones I talk to, it's a lot of women that don't necessarily want to be a part of a program. They want the man to be a part of theirs, right? And that's not how it works. So that makes it also challenging, you know. But in my estimation, I think that if a man wants to be married, then he can. The challenge is that he just has to work even harder to find a wife, because as y'all have already stated, Tamia said it, like a lot of women are not operating from the position of following Christ, right? And then they don't even look to find a guy that's following Christ, right? Right. So I said that I put that on a little reel yesterday or earlier today. It's like y'all women are complaining about dudes' morality, right? But y'all still giving up goods. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all still giving up the goods to dudes that y'all say are immoral, but y'all still want him to be y'all leader. Like you can't say that you want a leader, but then he's not following anybody. A great leader knows how to follow, right? So, but yeah, the challenges are there.
I don't agree.
That's fine. What you disagree with?
Here we go.
What you disagree with, homie?
Oh man. I think there's still good men that don't follow Christ. Like there's solid individuals that, you know what I'm saying? Like normally those herbalist guys, or you know what I'm saying, you know.
Did you say herbal? Did you say herbal?
The herbalist dudes with all the hair, you know,
Organic.
with the dreads and the seashells in their head, and they
What makes them
typically mean
good?
well. I
What's the
mean,
definition? The good is defined
the
by
good,
God.
the good is they're there to impact the community in a positive way. You know what I mean? Like they're teaching the kids how to garden. They're doing stuff around the community that kind of, you know, that impacts the youth in positive ways, as if it's teaching them a skill or making sure the hoop courts are clean, or, you know what I'm saying? Them guys are, you know, sometimes can be a little stressed, but those guys normally have women that look, you know, wear the seashells too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
That don't mean he's gonna be faithful.
I'm not talking about being faithful.
That's a part of being a good dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
you know, hold on, but that's
Yeah.
being faithful to everything you're talking about, Prototype. Like that's for your community, like doing stuff for your community. Like that's a
Part
part.
of what God said
part
a
of that's
man
being
is.
faithful.
Yeah,
Like
Say that
How
again.
you be a good dude, but you're not faithful to your kid's mother?
It depends.
But what if
No.
he's one of those people that's with the, you know, they got to have all the wives, you know, they got
But that's
three-
not cheating.
So here's the thing. Are you
That's not
saying Martin Luther
That's
King
not
is
cheating.
not a good dude?
Huh?
Martin Luther King isn't a good dude?
Wait, so okay. So I have a good
No, he's not
point.
a good dude.
I have a good point. Well, at least I think it's a good point. He could be a good dude, but he's not his best. And he's not at his fullest potential, is what I believe. If he is lacking faith and guidance, in Christ. Martin Luther King, none of us knew Martin, okay? And from what I've heard, he wasn't the best dude, but also, but no,
How y'all sit here and say MLK ain't a good dude?
That's not admissible. That's hearsay.
listen, this is not even it though. What I'm saying though is God does not call his children that don't fully know him yet bad people. They just, you know, like once you're ready to know him, he will accept you with open arms. He doesn't say, oh, you're a bad person because you have not given your full life to me yet. I think it's just a matter of you're not living at your fullest potential until you've become like a man of God. And I feel like if you're a Christian woman, then you should be looking for that. So if you are a seashell woman and you like seashell men, that's fine. You and your seashells can be great. But if you're a Christian woman, your seashell man will not fulfill you and you will not have the covenant that you want. And you're seeking and you're praying for, you can't get what you want and pray for what you want in somebody that doesn't follow God, because then he says it, they won't hear me. They can't hear me. Those who not follow me don't hear me. He speaks in parables. He does all that. They won't understand me. So you're always going to be in a lack sense in that reference, unless your prayers are so strong. And because it does happen. Sometimes I got married. My husband was not fully, we were, like I said, we were young. He had not fully established his relationship with Christ. But I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed because I know I want my husband to have a full relationship with Christ. That he believes in God. He always believed in God. But was he devoting his life and being obedient with the Lord? No. So you can pray for that. But I surely, before I said I do, knew that was not a seashell man. I knew that was a man of God.
Y'all go quit.
So
y'all
he can
quit this foolishness.
He wasn't a seashell man, meaning he wasn't at his fullest potential yet. You get what I'm saying? God had not fully, he didn't embrace his father fully yet. So there was room for growth, and it didn't mean that he's bad. He was never a bad
Yes, that's
person. He
exactly
wasn't his
what that
best self.
means. Listen,
He
man, y'all
wasn't
being
good.
real nice. Listen,
He
y'all being
wasn't
real nice.
bad.
You being nice.
He
I
was
get it.
disobedient. He wasn't
And is
obedient.
that
That is
good?
truth.
If your
That is
kid is
truth.
continuously being
But
disobedient,
that's
you
not
gotta
a bad
have a
kid.
good kid.
That's not a bad kid. If your 2-year-old is not listening, your 2-year-old is not bad. Your 2-year-old needs to learn obedience. Your 2-year-old needs to learn structure. Your 2-year-old
Listen,
is lacking knowledge. There's an ignorance. There's a
Yeah,
difference between ignorance and arrogance.
okay, that's
Bad is
fair, but
arrogance.
that's a kid that is learning, right? But we talking about adults.
And you're learning your whole life.
We talking
no,
about
I mean
adults.
but it's
But
choices. It's choices. You could always turn around and start making good choices.
Exactly. Like you're not good yet.
who not
You're
good?
not good
Oh
yet.
my
I'm not
God.
good.
So
We're
you're
not
saying all the
perfect.
Muslim men are not good? They're all bad men. Muslim men are bad men.
I'm not gonna
No,
Are
I'm
say
they
talking to
that
bad
HD.
because
men?
they
I'm talking to
they
HD.
believe.
According to the text, I mean, it all depends on like it depends. Like I would say, according to the text, yes, right? Because
I
you're supposed
mean,
to be because
Seashells are
because
God.
morality
It's your
because
belief.
morality because if we're talking about morality, right? Morality is from the Bible, right? God sets the standard. So therefore, yes, they would be considered not good men because they're not following out the Christ. They're following out their some other God, right? So and it says that you should only have one wife. In the Muslim
if
community,
you're a bishop, you should only have one wife. If you're a bishop,
no,
it
it's not
says
that.
it
It's
says to be a bishop.
nah. Go ahead and go read it, bro. Okay.
I read
He
it
said,
plenty. I'm telling you,
okay,
it says to be a bishop.
so I hear what you're saying, right? But it doesn't. It's not just for bishops. It's for any man that's following Christ, right? You're referring to when they was
Why do you change that?
I
Why do you change that on your own accord? Why do you change that?
I didn't change it. That's in the New Testament. If you're talking about in the Old Testament,
No, I'm talking about the New Testament. It specifically says bishop. Every man is not called. You know what I'm saying? Every man is not a if you're going to be a head of the church like a bishop, then yes,
Mhm.
this is the standard. But
so,
that's not for every man.
so let me ask you this question: do you think that God is out of order or is He in order?
These are one of the questions. Don't really, he's in order. Okay.
Right. So He sets the order. What do you think the number one order is in the church or outside the church?
I don't know.
You do know it's inside the church. So He sets the standard because in the form of who He is, right? He says He's God. Then you equate that to the man, right? So you have God, Jesus. I'm sorry, you have God in the church, right? And so it's the bride and you have the groom. There's one bride and there's one groom, right? So the way He said it was in the church. This is how it should be operated in this church. So how it works in the church, it should work outside the church, right? Because that is the standard and that's the structure, right? So for people to say, well, he's just
I don't
talking about
understand the
this,
outside. What do you mean outside the church?
No,
Like outside of
In
believers?
the
he
world.
said
no.
in the world, in the
Yeah.
world.
In
So
the
I'll
world.
give you, I'll give you a different case in point. Okay, specifically like this. So the church I go to, right? You have the pastor; he's in charge, but in charge of the pastor is God, right? And then you have the flock of people, right? That's the structure of the church, the hierarchy of the church.
Right.
The hierarchy of the church is supposed to work the same way in your family, right? It's supposed to be God, man, women, and children. It's the same. That's why it's called. That's why I'm telling you that He's in order. So He's not going to require something of what He considers the divine institution of the church. He's not going to set it that way and then come outside the church and be like, "Nah, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do." Like that's not God.
That's literally the point. That's literally the point. To choose the people inside the body of Christ have a different, we're the salt of the earth, right? We're supposed to stand out. We're supposed to be different. What the outside of the church do? I mean, who cares?
Oh no, I'm saying what
No.
I'm saying is like what I'm saying. I'll let you get to it, Dwayne. What I'm saying is like how the church operates biblically. You're looking from the Bible standpoint. It's supposed it's God then the church, right? It's your bride and your groom. At the house, it's husband then his wife. Now that's if you are talking about you're functioning from a Christian standpoint. Now, if you go to the part of being in other religions, they operate differently, and I'm saying that would not be good if you're a Christian because your boundaries are within the confines of the Bible. Now, if you operate outside of the Bible, then the Bible is saying that you're wrong, which would mean that that's not good. So therefore, that man and that woman are not good.
But ain't
Go
that
ahead, Dylan.
judgment though? You ain't supposed to be doing that.
No,
It do. It don't say that. It says you can judge once once you pluck your. You know what I mean. Once you
Yeah.
right, go ahead and judge. It don't say don't judge though.
I'm just saying, but to me, I don't get deep in it. That's why when y'all have y'all religion talks, I just stay out of it. But I'm just saying,
That's partly the problem that women don't want to get in the weeds.
But it's not
there
even.
you go. That's not my weed. That's not at my door.
But that's
not
one of the parts
Some of
that's
you
one
need
of
to
the
know
things
that.
men need. We
But
need
it,
these
but
conversations,
it is your.
and
It
it
is your
sucks that we
weed.
can't have these conversations with our
I
spouses.
didn't say that. I didn't say you can't have it. But to me, it's
No,
gonna be like
I'm
your
telling
wife.
you, we can't have it. It's hard to find a
So
woman that we can have these conversations with because y'all don't never want to get in the weeds.
I actually love this conversation, and I will say,
That's it. I
Ash,
agree with you on that, Prototype.
I will say, Ash, it isn't judgment, it's the word. So it's like, and I think that's where things get lost. Like, it's like people think that they're being judged, but it's like, no, the word is the word, it's unchanging, it's constant. So if the word
Right.
says, like, don't do this, and you
Right.
go do that, and somebody else is a believer and a Christian that also knows their word and is like being a friend or being as God said and Jesus said, like you should bring light as a follower, you should shed light. If you see something taking part and you know in the word and that person says they're a Christian, like if they're a Muslim, whatever, that's their business. Basically, that's their lane. But if they're a Christian and you're a Christian, like if you tell me, Ash, that you believe in God, and you're my sister in Christ, and I see that you're saying you believe in God and you want to be a believer, and you're doing something that is against His word, I'm not judging you. If I say, Ash, in verse blah 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 blah, this is what God wants us to do. If you want to live your life that way, and you want that level of support, and you want me to be truthful with you, I suggest you go read this and maybe try to figure out how you can align with it, because otherwise there is no loophole. He says there's no lukewarm. It's hot or cold. Like it's either you're with me or you get spit out. So it's like, that's just the truth. That's not judgment. That's just truth. So it's like, I'm not
That's
judging you. It's
what
not
I was talking
me.
about. The point I'm
But yeah,
talking about is how you gonna tell somebody else that's better than some of these religions since they was 2 and 3 getting popped for it, and tell them that they wrong. That's my
God
part.
can change
Because
anybody.
if that's what they do, that's what they do. Like I said, I stay out of religion talk because it's not my essay parte. That's not my specialty.
Yeah, it's got a
But
cause into it.
I just feel like if their religion say they can have 75 wives, let them go over there and do that. If that ain't affecting your household, the way I look at things is like this: if it ain't affecting my household and affecting the outcome of my children, let it slide. Because at the end of the day, I can't change some people's mind. Go ahead, Dwayne. Put your little church finger down. You ain't got to do all that.
Hey, I should have got up, man. I should have said amen a couple of times talking about it, but I stayed down. No, but to your point, Ash, it's I enjoy. That's one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, from Matthew 7. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Most people think that there's a period after judge not, and they're like, judge not and leave it alone. It's not a period, it's a comma. And it said, judge not, lest ye be judged, for the same measure in which you measure somebody will be used against you. So, and that whole chapter is about hypocrisy. It's about hypocrisy. So it's like, don't go off telling somebody they can't do something, right? So going back, as for, hey, you can't be having more than one wife. Or to Prototype's point, like whenever it comes to the deacon, you can't be a deacon sitting there telling, hey, you got to be faithful to your wife, and next thing you know, you off cheating and not being faithful, and then you turn up having 12 wives. You just like the Muslims. In per se, I don't know for the Muslim piece, but I'm just saying, like, it's about hypocrisy. So you can't be telling somebody not to do something whenever you're doing the same thing. To what you were saying, Prototype, this, hey, before you go talking about the speck that's in your brother's eye, make sure you get the plank out of your own eye. That big old beam, to make sure you're good first, and then you're able, make sure that you know the truth first, and then you're able to go and then share with other people. So it's not just don't judge. There's a standard, like, and I think that's from a cultural standpoint, right? Like, as for with Christianity, it says Prototype, you said it, you're supposed to be the salt of the earth. The next is, if the salt loses its flavor, what is it then good for? But to be trampled under the foot of men. Right? So in that, it's like it lines up. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do, guess what? Something's going to happen to you. You're going to be trampled on the foot of men. Like, you ain't going to be good for nothing. So in it, like, whenever we, and from a point of the public square, embracing grace said earlier, like, a lot of, like, as for morality has been taken out of our culture because we have allowed it to. right? And they've been injecting their form of morality into the culture, like this whole baby mama mentality, all these other things. Like these things have been injecting into the culture. The question is, can we look at it and say, is it good or is it bad? And as for the standard, what standard then are we measuring it up against? So is it, as for with the standard of God, these things that now are popular in the culture are considered bad from a biblical standpoint. But why has they been allowed to be perpetuated? Because we have stood down and allowed it to happen.
Embrace, did you want to say anything to this?
I mean, I agree with it. We don't, we're sitting on the sidelines for too long. We're not shaming. We're not calling people out on their bad behavior, and we're allowing things to happen when you know that it's morally, ethically wrong. And then we want to sit here and complain about it. But what are we doing about it? Yes, it's good to talk about the problems, but we also need to talk about solutions. What are we going to do? I felt that I was doing my part when I was coaching. You know, I was talking to these kids, not just, you don't coach just about basketball, but you end up spending so much time with them that a lot of times they wouldn't even feel comfortable talking to their parents. They'll come up to me, hey, coach, you know, and it's like, what do? You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to mentor them. You have to, because it takes a tribe, and we've gotten so lost. I remember in New York where the whole neighborhood took care of each other. And if you got beat by the neighbor, you come home, you get beat again. And we didn't call Child Protective Services or the cops. You know, we all took care of each other. But now it's like, everybody just wants to take out a phone. He wants to record, don't want to help, or God forbid if you help, don't tell me how to raise my child. It's just like, again, the shallowness. I'm just reiterating it. We're gelling it because everybody is putting on the table, we're picking up. And it's again, we are lost in the sauce, and we have allowed it to be in the music industry, the sports industry. They are all distractions to distract us from what we're supposed to be doing. And a lot of us are going to learn when it's too late.
Go ahead, Tamia.
What I was going to say is I think it's a matter of even not wanting to, like, Embrace said, like, you know, we're gelling it. And I think our society has gotten too comfortable with not wanting to hurt feelings. And have mistaken, we've mistaken hurting feelings with being truthful and being real and really taking on what our roles are as children of God. Like our role as children of God, like you can do it in a mannerly way, you can do it in a respectful way, but he didn't send us here to always mind our business. You know, like he didn't send us here to always like sit here and be like, oh, that's not my home, because we're brothers and sisters, you know? So there's circumstances where it's like, if your heart calls on it, that's when you pray about stuff. So nobody's telling you to go and just be like, you're right. No, discernment. So if you see something and it's moving your heart, pray about it. Am I supposed to speak to this person? Am I supposed to like share what I'm feeling with this person? See if they know about this. If he, you know, he'll tell you. But we're not always, you know, we got used to like, that's not, and not talking to, you know, targeting you, Ash, whatever, because I've done this too. It's just like this whole like it's not my business kind of wave. And it's like, that's why we're here, because it wasn't our business, because there was no more neighbors, you know, love each other like we're neighbors. Love thy neighbor. You know, that's not only a physical sense. And I even have an last example, like, for example, Ash mentioned, like, what about people who have been in these religions since their childhood? There are many things that we have known since our childhood that we've learned is not okay for us. So there's a lady that went to Sarah Jake's Woman Evolve. She's a Muslim. She went with a friend. She converted her life to Christ after that. She grew up a Muslim woman. And she went and she just felt God. And if God wants his children, he'll have them. It doesn't matter who you were for the previous 25, 30 years before that. It doesn't matter what your mom told you or who's at home, because their life is not for them. Your life is for God. Your parents don't even own you. We don't even own our children. They're not ours. Mm-hmm. They're God's, you know? So it's like we get into this space of, I don't want to hurt feelings. I don't want to step on toes. Everybody has their own way and their own right. And that's not the truth. Your life is not yours.
Like the world is like that. The world gives you your options. The world lets you choose seashells and all this other stuff. But end of the day, this is not our life.
That's
Like,
really good. That's
I
really
love
good.
it.
That's really good. She coming back to the
I
seashell.
love it.
Yeah, my late wife Jen, she grew up as a voodooist. She wasn't, but her mom was, right? And because of how vocal I was when we were just friends, made her want to inquire about who Christ was, right? And so that was like, I think she got baptized when she was maybe 21, something like that, right? So, yes, even though they may have grown up and heard these things, it doesn't change that the way that they were living were incorrect according to the scripture. It's no different than a Muslim saying that, according to the Torah, that Christians are not living right. Okay, it's the exact same thing. So, who am I to judge? Well, the part that people miss is, I think it's in John, it may be John 1:1, or the John 10. It's try the spirit by the spirit, right? So you're supposed to be, and if you're an individual, matter of fact, we judge all the time, which is interesting to me. You decide on what friends you're gonna have based on what it is and what type of people they are. So that's you being judgmental, and not only that, you're actually being discriminatory because you have a particular preference in which you want to have people hanging around you or even hanging around your kids, right? So that's a part of the judgment that he was talking about in the scripture, was being like you don't have a hell to put nobody in. That's what he was talking about in that scripture. It was talking about condemnation, not in the sense of, you know what I'm saying, well, you're a bad person. No, because if that was the case, then Jesus wouldn't have went and threw over, wouldn't went into the temple and threw over things if that was the case, right? Or Peter calling out, Paul calling out, was it Peter? You know what I'm saying? Like there are situations in the text where people are called out for the things that they have done. So I think it's important for people to be, if you're a Christian, you definitely need to study your word and not say you're a Christian just because you got saved. You know what I'm saying? In the initial point, yeah, because you're new to it. But the scripture also says faith without works is dead, right? Which means that what Dwayne was saying, I think Prototype was saying it too. Like if you are saying that you are a bus driver, but you never drive a bus, it don't make sense, right? Okay, I can say that I'm a basketball player all day, but I haven't been playing. I can say that I'm a Christian, but I don't live like it. Like, I mean, that's the whole point of why the scripture was talking about don't be a hypocrite. Live how you say you are and live how you believe. You know what I'm saying? What a transition. Y'all always do this, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good conversation though. I'm gonna hit us with maybe one of the last two questions. We're gonna talk about this. TD Jakes was did y'all get to see the video? Did I send
No,
it to
you got the clip.
let me go to it. I don't know how to put it up on the screen here, but
You go to present. You see the present button at the bottom?
I bet. Let me do this. Okay. This is our intermission. Hit the like button, share button. You know what I'm saying? All that jazz. It won't let me share. When I go share screen. Let me see if I do it like this.
Post the link and maybe I could do it.
All right. Proto. I sent it to you on Instagram.
Instagram.
Because it's not allowing me to share. I see what you're talking about though. Here's the link though. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
He was talking about it being painful to be a spouse, a husband as well as a wife, which sparked this interesting dialogue that we're having. 14,000 people liked it. And of course, there were people that got into their feelings.
Those are the ones that ain't doing right and that's making it painful.
You got it, Prototype?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. What I need to do?
Hold on. Present. Share.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, I see. You have to put the mute button. You see, you have to hit the mute button on the Instagram.
Can y'all hear it? I can hear it.
No. You can hear it though. It's because of the mute button needs to be undone.
No, I think he can hear it. It's just not playing through.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not playing on my for me. Can y'all hear that?
No, it's probably gonna be
No.
headphones.
No, it should be able to play through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can't hear it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What do
No
you
worries.
say?
Well, he's talking about what he says is can y'all hear mine?
No.
He said it's painful to be a good husband. It costs you something to be a good husband. You have to cut
You
your
got to add it
ego
to the
back.
screen.
Yeah.
Oh, you did add it to the screen, and it still didn't.
You got to cut your pride back to be a good husband. And you have to cut back your need and reciprocity to be a good husband. Not easy to be a good husband.
But I don't know why y'all couldn't hear it. But yeah, it was basically just saying. See if I can try it this way.
He said it is easier to look like a good wife than it is to be a good wife. And then he transitions and says, how did he say? He said, just because you have a baby doesn't make you a mother.
What does he mean by that? Well, that's true.
That's just what he
Sorry.
said.
No, sorry, I'm tired. It's past my bedtime. But yeah,
We're almost done. We're almost
Go
done.
bed.
You are.
You gotta take your power nap like I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 5-7 minutes. Yeah. So okay. So the question that I had was, is it painful to be a good spouse? Like, is it really though? You know, and we're just gonna talk about it. And then it's gonna be the last topic that we have. But is it painful to be a good spouse? I guess he was saying that you have to do certain things to be a good spouse. We'll start with Embrace. What you think? And then we'll talk about it.
I would have to say nowadays it is painful to be a good wife because you have social media, you have the lack of God in your marriage. People are not putting in the work, the due diligence and effort to work on their marriage. Again, marriage is about service and duty, but we have this attitude is what can he do for me? You know, there's no a give and take situation. It's very selfish, one-sided, and if people would just understand that marriage can be extremely rewarding and beneficial, but it's just all about me, 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 me. And unfortunately, that's what's happening now in our community is indicative. You know, we're not pushing marriage, we're pushing independence, we're pushing boss chicks, we're pushing master's degrees and graduate's degrees. You know, we're not pushing family unity, we're pushing baby mamas. You know, and then I'm not just going to be talking about the women, the men too. We're talking about, you know, yes, talking about getting on their grind, laying down the foundation, but they don't know what for, what their purpose is. So yes, it is very challenging, and to be a wife nowadays, to be in a marriage, because there's so many outside distractions, too many options. It's too easy to give up. It's too easy to get a divorce, and unfortunately, it's just not like how grandma and grandpa they knew what was going on. There was issues, but they would stick it out. You know.
That's what's up. Anybody got something to say on it?
Yeah, I'm a piggyback off of that, but I'm gonna take a little different approach. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the Asch experiment. There's a psychological experiment, the Asch conformity experiment, and there's five people in a room. 4 of them are actors. One of them is real, and the task is a perception test. And on the board, there's 3 lines of different lengths. And they ask which line is the longest line. All 4 of the actors are trained to give the wrong answer. So the first go around, the real participant, he says the real answer, or the truthful answer. All 4 of the actors will give the fake answer. By the second, third, and the fourth go around, the real participant starts to adopt the wrong answer as the others, because he does not desire to be wrong, and he wants to then adopt the same mindset. So he forgoes his critical thinking skills to adopt and conform to what everybody else is saying, even or especially whenever it's wrong. And I think that's as for what you were just saying, Embrace. It's easier to conform because we don't want to stand out. We don't want to stand out. So because of that, it's easier to get a divorce. We don't want to go through the things that are difficult. We don't desire to, again, stand out. We want to just conform to what everybody else is doing, and that's the group think. That's the herd mentality, and I that's how I see it. So, is it painful to be a good spouse? Yes, because everything in which we are hearing now goes against the grain. So, in order to have patience, meekness, long suffering, all these things in which we need to selflessness. Whenever I'm not a fan of TG Jakes, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. All right, I'm gonna put it out there. But what he said about
I'm not
reciprocity,
either, bro.
okay, cool. But what he said about reciprocity, or the back and forth, I said that earlier, right? In a good relationship, it's a 2-way street. But how do we behave whenever it now becomes a 1-way street? Do we now forego the opportunity to do good because somebody is withholding good from us? So even from that's the difficulty of it, is because even whenever someone is not being good to us, that does not give us the right to be bad to them. So is it difficult to be or is it painful to be a good spouse? Absolutely, because it's natural. It's natural. And I'll say this last thing, because I've been burnt by this before. Do unto others as you would like done unto you. Spiritual mathematics will not give you, if someone does evil to you, you're able to do evil to them. That's not how spiritual mathematics will work. That equation will not equate for a good positive result for yourself. So in that, if someone does bad to you, you're still obligated and supposed to do good to them.
Anybody want to go?
I
Uh-huh.
object.
Ah,
Ask if you object.
I object. If you do me wrong, baby, I'm finna burn it down. But just to piggyback on the way, I do believe, yeah, okay, right. But being a good spouse today, why? Why would you want to be? But it is painful because you got a lot of good men out here and got a lot of good women that's out here getting burnt because of what people think they have access to because they see it every day. They can scroll like this and see it and look at it. They think that accessibility is what they can go outside that door and get, but in actuality, it's not. It's like we have become, I guess the word I'm looking for is complacent, and we're not really looking at what we have at home because we think once we walk out that door and lose what we got at this house, this baggage or whatever turmoil that's going on in the house, when we walk out that door, the streets is going to welcome us. But people forget every street is not paved. Every street has not been taken care of. There's weeds growing up. The foundation is cracked. You know, you're just looking at the neighborhood. Yeah, they may have just bought that new house and put it over there to make the neighborhood look good, to make the property value go up, but it's actually not good to drive on that street. You're probably gonna end up buying 2 new tires by the end of the week. But I just think that there's a lot of good people out here that's in some bad situations and they just hurting. And that pain is just gonna start manifesting and spewing because that's what you see on TV. These people killing folks, going crazy, shooting up places. That's all it is. It's just the pain is coming out. And this is the only way they know how to deal with it, which is violence. The evil that Dwayne was talking about that we're not supposed to do. Whatever, jail time is fair time. We might need that. Next.
so I'll kind of hop at it. Yeah, I think it's painful to be a good wife or a good husband, only because in a long period of time, y'all wronged each other, and I don't believe you typically get over things. You just learn to live with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes it hard to be a good because you still choosing to be good to that person, even in spite of how you feel that day, because you remember about that foul they did 10 years ago, and now you feeling salty. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those times happen, you know what I mean? Where you're like, dang, man, they didn't do XYZ. Now I feel some type of way. And it could be months later, years later. I mean, you just don't get over it. You know, you just you find a way to live with it and try to be good, even though you're living with some type of hurt, pain, you know, that way. Um, in a good relationship, though, I'm not saying those are in a perfect world, I guess, if there was no harm done to either one of y'all in whatever phase, then yeah, no, it should be a blissful thing. It shouldn't be painful at all. It should just be, me with my partner working things out the way we supposed to and handling life. But the only thing, like I said, the only thing for me that makes it painful, I can see as being painful is if somebody did something and I have to still, you know, work with this person anyway. You know what I'm saying? Figure out a way to harbor whatever feelings or throw away feelings or talk about the feelings or whatever. Handle those emotions is what makes it hard or painful. I don't know who
That's
didn't go
what's up.
yet.
Tamia, on you. Tamia.
I would say that it can be painful. I don't think it's painful in general to be a good spouse. I feel like you should want to be a good spouse. But I do feel as though that there are moments where it feels painful when you have to sacrifice and you have to surrender and you have to go ahead and just like throw the towel in for the sake of the bigger picture. That can be painful. Nobody wants, like, nobody's born in their flesh wanting to do that. Like, just, yeah, fine. Like, I know I feel like I'm right, but I'm just gonna say I'm wrong. Like nobody wants to do that. But I also feel like pain is temporary, and with pain, after that pain, there's growth. So, which is what a marriage is for. You're not supposed to remain complacent. You're supposed to grow together. You're supposed to learn with one another. And it is true, like Prototype says, like when you're with somebody for the rest of your life, you are not going to be perfect to them all the time. Whether it's minor or large, there's going to be a time where you hurt feelings. And there's going to be a time where you have to own up to things and take responsibility. And that doesn't always feel like butterflies. So if you are being a good spouse and you're thugging things out and, you're sticking to the grain and doing things by the book, there are times where there's pain. Even Christ suffered. So it's like there's going to be pain in good things. But yeah.
That's good, man. It is definitely the reason why I say that it's painful is because you're literally going against your flesh. You know, is a spiritual warfare to fight against forgiveness, as Prototype said. Like if somebody, you know, your woman or your man has done you wrong, even if it's in a disagreement of an argument or something like that, forgiveness has to take place. And some people don't necessarily forgive in the way that they should, and so therefore there's the challenge. I mean, and also it's like Dwayne said, and as TD Jakes, Pastor Jakes was saying, is that listen, it's not gonna always be reciprocal. You know, it's gonna be times where you're gonna, and it's gonna be at times. I don't understand is there a way for each person to give the same amount as the other person is giving? I don't see how that could be, and that means you would have to take and score, right? As one of my mentors said, he said you should do for your spouse as if you're not getting anything in return, because you're supposed to be giving to them, right? Because that's your duty. You're supposed to serve them, as Dwayne also said, you do unto others as you would have them to do unto you, right? And the spiritual mathematics is not the flip side of that. If they do something wrong to you, no, that's not how it is. How do you want them to treat you, right? You want to treat them in that particular way, right? So yes, it is painful from a spiritual standpoint, but you can overcome those things and build a relationship, because that's a part of being in a relationship. You're gonna wrong each other at times because we're imperfect people, right? But at the end of the day, we have to look at it as a team. You know, I've played with some dudes that I didn't want to play with, but I've also played with some dudes that I enjoy playing with, and sometimes we wasn't on the same page, but the goal was to win the game, but as it relates to a marriage, just know that you're on the same team and y'all need to work together. Their strengths may be your weaknesses and vice versa. And so, yes, it's going to be painful because it's two becoming one, but at the end of the day, it works out if you do it right. All right. So that's what I got for this evening. Before we get out of here, I ain't gonna keep you long. Ash is over there on Instagram, 360 Diva, Prototype Kingdom podcast is over there. Tuesday nights. I always forget. I think it's 9 Eastern, right? 9 Eastern on Tuesday. No, on Wednesday.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays
you
for
on
the
Wednesdays
ladies.
now?
We haven't had a Wednesday
Tuesday
show in a while, but tune in on Tuesday, and we still got plenty of content, man. Tap in.
Okay, that's a bit. And then Tamia, she's got mommy journeys or some journals that she be vlogging about or whatnot. Isn't that right, Tamia? The day in the life of Tamia.
Yeah.
She be over there on TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So go check her out. Then you got Dwayne photography. You know what I'm saying? He's doing dope things. He said, listen, he only does word of mouth. So I'm just telling y'all need to let people know about Dwayne because he's phenomenal. And then we appreciate you, Embrace the Grace, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Was okay for you.
Absolutely. Thursday nights,
Absolutely.
8 p.m.
And they can find you also, right? That's a bit. Well, it's been real. It's been dope. And as always, it's been phenomenal. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous. Seem to understand something.
the thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see them about to impact the world.